was another roller coaster ride.
That's right.
For this. I didn't think it was going to go this way, but it did.
But it did.
Let's take a look.
Roll the highlights.
Can we see the highlights for this game? It was a bit of a roller coaster, like I said, but UMD would be the ones to get the ball rolling. Under 7 left in the first period. A Bulldog power play. Dominic James chasing down the puck. He'll send it back, and it's Ben Steeves awaiting a snapshot to the corner for the first goal of the night. And don't blink, because guess what? Just 16 seconds later, the freshie Aaron Pionk sends it. Luke Bass scores on the one-timer. The transfer from Nodak gets his first goal in a Bulldogs uniform. It's 2-0 UMD. Same score with 3 minutes left of the first. Bulldogs trying to control the bouncing puck, and it's Kyle Betton's forehand back into the twine. Bulldogs lead at 3-0, and that will be the score coming into the second period. But guys, guess what? This one goes into overtime, tied at 5-5. And who gets it on the shootout? For the second straight time, it's UMD. They technically get this one.
They get the shootout win.
They get the shootout win.
Thought we were going to go through the whole roster of players. We could have been there all night.
Yeah.